There's a lot of conversation nowadays about debt, largely student loan debt, and many people are getting in over their heads before they realize just what they've done. It's not an easy situation to get out of, nor is it an easy situation to breathe in. I've been there, and I dug my way back out by trucking, and so can you. There's no shortcut. A lot of sacrifice is required, but nobody else is going to solve your problems for you. The trucking industry is a unique one for two reasons. Since it can't be outsourced, and although some may debate it, it can't be automated. The reason it can't be automated is because decisions, moment by moment, have to be made with next to zero margin for error. Many of those decisions have to be made based on predicting the actions of other humans. There's nothing autonomous, nothing artificial about driving a truck. Some parts of it are easy. Some parts of it are stressful, but the demands and the requirements of doing this type of work are ones that a person can meet in the moment, when the alternative is to contact other vehicles in traffic or concrete barriers. Suddenly you become extremely accurate and precise. And when the wind is pushing the trailer and you see the reflection off the ice being just easy enough on the throttle and the brake, and selecting the right gear, and hugging the turn all the way through the curve, suddenly the truck seems to drive itself, because there's a human behind the wheel who is gaining experience. That is not something that is anywhere near being able to be automated, except within a closed course with controlled variables, but certainly not on the highways interconnecting the states in North America. People in cities are being lulled to sleep thinking that their products and their supplies just occur, but really the distances between these cities are very vast, and they're only connected by thin strips of pavement. We're hanging on to our existence as a human society in a much more frail way than we would like to believe. Of course, many people are more prepared and more self-sufficient than others, but as a whole, we do need trade. We need each participant in this economy to be specialized in order to maximize their productivity and be a cog on the wheel and churn out various types of products, or do repetitive tasks more efficiently than anyone else, so that we can all share the benefits of our labor. Transportation by sea, rail, road, and air is what allows this nation's and all nations' economies to flourish by allowing trade. So the trucking industry is not going anywhere. And for anyone who wants to get out of debt and wants to establish themselves and not be a victim, you can make some quick money. And these jobs are not going anywhere as long as you keep your record clean, don't speed, don't have an accident, be extremely cautious, don't get any road rage. There are a lot of things you have to do, and you have to keep a level head all the time. Just it can be taken away from you if you mess up. But as long as you're flying under the radar, laying low, you can have a difficult but rewarding career that may be a stepping stone to other endeavors during your life. A career isn't something that you have to do indefinitely unless you've backed yourself into a corner with maybe a degree that you couldn't afford and you can't afford to do anything else. But for most people, paying for their education in a sustainable, gradual way while building working experience and life experience is a much more strategic and reliable way to build a life as opposed to student loans. A lot of people are in debt and drowning in debt. And to those people, I would say, go get a commercial driver's license and figure it out. It's not easy, but it can be done. Largely because your living expenses as a truck driver are significantly lower than those of someone who lives in a city, renting, housing, and paying for utilities and the expenses of a car with its fixed and variable monthly expenses. So once you get on the road, you can stop by Walmart, stock up on some groceries, and you're not spending a dime. You're not sliding your debit card for anything for the next week. You'll be too busy. You won't have time to spend money. You're going to be running loads back to back to back. In the last week and a half, I've gone from Charlotte to New Orleans to Dallas to Salt Lake City to Seattle. Now I'm sitting in Denver, just delivered a load, waiting on a shipper to call me in. About 3 hours past appointment. Going to Virginia. Gonna try to dodge some weather. It's freezing on the East Coast right now. And I'm finally to the point I've paid off the bulk of my debts. All I have left is a land payment. But as far as credit cards, student loans, car payments, all of those types of things, those are things that can be knocked out pretty quickly as a trucker. And a lot of those things you'll find you don't actually need. This world is full of BS. Everyone's trying to scam each other. And the more you drive around between different cities, the more you'll realize people need very few things to actually survive. So, I hope this has been of some value to those who are trying to figure out what to do about their indebtedness. And I could tell you a couple of the companies that are hiring. You don't have to look very far. But I would say be very cautious about which ones you drive for. A lot of them are victimizing truckers who are overly eager and suckering them into lease purchase programs that pay a deeply discounted rate to the driver who is responsible for the expenses of the truck. Many trucking companies have a revolving door of recruiting, supplying each weekly orientation class with fresh meat who are going to return after running loads for that company with empty pockets and have the truck taken back away from them. It's a way for trucking companies to move cheap loads, and a lot of them do it with great success. Even though a lot of people are onto their schemes, a lot of the experienced truckers know what they're doing. The younger ones just see the ads and they don't ask around, and they become prey. When I was in orientation for one of those companies, myself and one other new driver were the only ones in a class of 10 that didn't lease a truck. We remained company drivers at a fixed rate per mile, which now I would consider low, but at the time I was glad to take it. And they kept me running 3,000 miles a week or so. There are some easy parts and some difficult parts of trucking, but any trucking job is a good trucking job because you're building experience, and as long as you're not bypassing any scales or doing anything silly, not getting caught exceeding your hours of service, etc., you can quickly choose which company you want to work for and nearly name your price. So, if you want to get out of debt, drive a truck. And that's that. No one else is going to do it for you. You've got to do it. Start making sacrifices instead of excuses. That's all.